Welcome to the Lovers Lounge podcast, where we talk to experts and other guests on topics related to love, relationships, and sex. I am your host, Tina Love, and on this episode, I'm talking to the founder of Red Cup Conversations on Facebook Live. He is a certified life coach whose emphasis is on dating and relationships. It's Terrell Williams. Terrell, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited. You know, the last time we were on part one, my studio time was running out and I had to end the show a bit sooner than I wanted to. But fortunately, you are back to continue our conversation on part two of episode 32, I think it was. So just in case someone out there missed our earlier conversation, you're a life coach and you focus on dating and relationships. And every Thursday you do Red Cup Conversations. What time do you do that?
I do it at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right. And tell just a little bit about what you do on Red Cup Conversations.
What I do is I talk about dating and relationship things that people either inbox me or have conversations with people about. And it's different topics. Like last night, we talked about who says "I love you" first. The week before, I think we talked about something else, but it's pretty much like relationship questions or relationship issues that people may have.
Right. And, you know, I think I mentioned on the last episode, that was kind of how I discovered you. I don't know how, but, you know, I just happened to be looking through videos and I saw you getting ready for the Red Cup Conversations, which at that time I didn't know what you were getting ready for. But I did see the Red Cup. And what are you usually drinking in that Red Cup, just out of curiosity?
I usually have some type of liquor, and you know, in the first episode, and the reason why I ended up being called the Red Cup Conversation is because when I first started doing my Facebook lives, it would always be Thursday, and I would always be just, you know, drinking out of my red cup. So it became like a staple of my Facebook lives. So I just continued on with it, you know.
Yeah, that was something. And I always see you, you know, because you drink out of that red cup. I mean, it really is a red cup conversation. And I'm
It is.
always wondering, like, okay, what is he drinking tonight? What is he drinking? Yeah. So anyway, and at the time when I saw you, you were talking about ghosting, which was what we talked about on the last episode, in fact. And you just kind of broke down what ghosting is. So just in case somebody missed that episode or they haven't taken the time to go back, can you just recap again what ghosting is?
Ghosting is when you are involved with someone, be it dating, texting, talking, or getting to know a person, and it can happen pretty much at any time. And what happens is that you can be involved with this person, really liking this person, really into this person, and you go from talking, texting, communicating every day into so that person just pretty much, you know, just not even responding to you anymore.
Just like poof, they're gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the ghosting part. Yeah. So you mentioned a few reasons why people do this. And I'm just going to kind of recap, just trying to remember now. I think you said that the first one basically is, or one of them is, that they're not into you that much, or, you know, they're just not feeling you like that anymore or whatever. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think you also said that they may be already in a relationship.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a follow-up question on that one. And then I think I remember you talking about possibly, you know, having sex with them too early, and, you know, so they kind of vanish with that also.
Yeah. Or they can just be, you know, afraid of commitment, or they can be in between, you know, relationships.
Right.
A couple of different couple of different reasons, but some of the reasons why you said is some of the main reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now I want to go back on this. So they could already be in a relationship or they're between relationships. Can you kind of break that down, like how that dynamic actually works? Because I guess in my mind, if I'm in a relationship, then why am I seeking or talking to somebody else? So can you kind of talk about that? Like, how does that work? How does that happen?
Well, like any relationship you have, there may be times where you guys are just not getting along. The communication is just not there. The person just, you may not just be really on the same playing field or the same, headspace of that same person. And what usually tends to happen is that we may come across somebody that's like-minded or come across somebody that is beautiful, intelligent, that gains our attraction. And you may reach out to that person, be it if you met them, face to face, met them online in the Facebook group, inbox them, DM them, and such. So what happens is that you may start to take a liking, or you may start to communicate with this person, and after a certain amount of time, you may start taking a liking to this person. But by you being in a relationship and you not telling this person up front, hey, I'm in a relationship, um, men usually tend to start, or men will usually, or I'm not gonna say men, people will usually tend to ghost because it might start to get a little too serious, or the person that they're talking to may really start to like them, and it starts to turn into something else. And
Okay.
they know that they're in a relationship, and they know this is something they should be doing. So, men usually tend to ghost. And if you're in between a relationship, meaning like maybe you just got out of a relationship, but even though you're out of that relationship, you still may have some dealings with the person that you broke up with,
Okay.
or you're just not totally over that person. And you may start talking to somebody else, but you're still kind of dealing with that person, or still a possibility that you guys can get back together.
I see. So
So that's
what
the in between.
Yeah. So why don't you think people are upfront about that status? So, like, yeah, if you're in a relationship, well, you've just gotten out of one, I'll say. And even though you've said, we're calling it quits, we're not going to deal with each other, but yet, you know that it's not really quite over as of yet. So, like, what is it about us that we can't be honest about that? Or should we?
I think it's just hard for people to be honest.
Mm,
You know, with with the internet and the way the internet has kind of made a lot of people that might not have been um, what's the word, like people that are bashful, shy,
yeah.
introverts,
Right,
and
right.
such. With the internet, you can kind of be whoever you are.
Hmm.
And this is one of the reasons why catfishing is like so big.
Right.
But you can be who you are. And people just tend to want to be something that they're not, or they may just not, know how to be honest within themselves. You know, um, and it's something that's learned. And the
Yeah.
thing about it is that people, it's hard for people to be honest when they don't know how to be honest.
Yeah.
Because guys feel like, okay, well, if I be honest with anybody, I may not get what I want.
Wow.
So I'd rather use deception than to be honest and say, hey, well, I'm in a relationship, or hey, I'm in between relationships. Because usually, if you tell a person that you're trying to get to know that, they're probably going to want to be like, well, I don't want to deal with you.
Ah.
So I think that's one of the main reasons, within ghosting, or, where men are not able to be honest with the person that, they're trying to get to know.
And that's so unfortunate because, I can probably just about imagine that if you walked up to any woman today and you said, what's the three most important qualities that you would like your man to have? I would think that probably between one and three, honesty is going to be it. It's going to be one of them. And so it's so sad, that we might enter a relationship not being honest because at the end of the day, it's going to come out. You know what I mean?
It is,
Yeah.
and it always does. It
Yeah.
always does.
Yeah. Something else that you say always does happen, you mentioned on the last episode, is that the ghost always comes back.
They always come back.
Yeah. And you've said, to the people that, you know, listeners, don't let them back in. Um, and you've given a reason why. Can you kind of recap on that?
Don't let the ghoster back because 9 times out of 10, it's a possibility that he will ghost you again,
Yeah. So why is
and
it that
that
yeah, I was going to say, so why is it that they come back anyway then? If they're going to just do it again?
they come back, for one because there's still an interest there, for you.
Mm,
They're still interested in who you are. It's just that now whatever they had going on at that time is no longer an issue or it's no longer in play. So now they are able to devote whatever time or whatever liking they had to you, they're able to devote that to you. So they come back as usually as if nothing has ever happened.
so crazy. So like we were just talking about how maybe they were in a relationship, but the relationship wasn't totally over. So then the original relationship person, whether it be male, female, comes back. Okay. And then so you that person ghosts someone. Okay, but then they've gotten back with their original partner, and so that doesn't really work out. Like they try it again, but it just doesn't work out. And so then the ghost says, "Oh, maybe I'll call up so and so who I ghosted," right? Is that kind of tend to be how it all happens?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
like I said, when you meet a person and if you ghost them, that attraction is still there
right.
because at some point you did want them. But instead of just being honest and saying, "Hey, I have something going on, so maybe we should put this on hold, or maybe we can just be friends and such," you ghost them. But then, once that situation they were dealing with is done, then they come back to you as if nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
Like, "Hey, how you doing? Or what's been going on?" And they try to you know, bring the conversation back to where it was. But
right.
usually the person that was ghosted is kind of like, I don't want to deal with you. But, if you have a person that's a slick talker or a person that can really just, connive their way back into you talking to them,
Hmm.
it's a possibility that you will be open to kind of give them that chance again.
And you're so right because there are people who are just very good at manipulation, maybe, or just have that charismatic attitude and persona about themselves, and they step back up to you like they've done nothing wrong. Like let's pick up where we left off, and then you're looking at them like what? So, but again, you have said that it's important that a person not take the ghost back because they'll do it again.
Yeah, it's a
All right.
possibility that they will do it again. I mean, um, the chances are higher than not,
All right.
because if a person can do this to you once, it's a possibility they can do it to you again.
All
You
right.
may have you know, sometimes you may have it to where it might not happen, but usually it'll probably happen again at some point.
Yeah. And I know the old saying where the first time it's shame on you, but then the second time it'll be shame on me, right? If I sit here
Yeah,
and let this person do this again. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So, as promised, we are continuing our conversation then on the red flags in a relationship. And I did get someone who um, called in and gave me a red flag, and they're going to, kind of I'll ask you what you think about their red flag. But
Okay.
first off, yeah, I want to hear from you on the red flags. So why don't you tell us some of them?
Red flags are is something that a person does that will get your attention that may not add up, or they may do something that really just is not something that you're okay with.
Yeah.
And like most human beings, we'll see a person do something, and instead of for either addressing it or instead of for being like, what, that's something that's a deal breaker for me, and I don't think I can deal with it, we'll usually kind of look past it and just say, oh, well, that's the person, or that's just who they are, or maybe I can deal with that.
Right.
But usually, and there's levels to the flags, but usually if it's something that kind of goes against what you um, are not used to, then it's something that you kind of need to keep your eye on.
Right. So we're just kind of moving along in a relationship, or we're talking. Maybe we haven't quite gotten where we call it a relationship, but we're hollering at each other, right? We're talking. But then there's some things that are just not adding up. Is that what you're saying? Like there's some stuff that's happening that
Yes,
just kind of makes you pause and go, wait a minute, what's up with that?
yes,
So yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So run it down. Tell me about those.
Well, like for example, um, one of the red flags that I have down as one of the 10 red flags that I have is like lack of communication. You know, if the best way to get to know somebody is to communicate. We have so many forms of different ways of communicating. We have text message, we have Messenger, we have DMs, we have Facebook, we have FaceTime, you have Instagram. Like, a person should never tell you that they don't have time or they can't communicate with you, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And one of the red flags is, you meet a person and that person really just isn't able to communicate with you the way that you may like to be communicated with,
All
you
right.
know.
Okay.
So if they're not able to communicate at the level that you want them to communicate, then that's a red flag for you,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
because communication is key. And if that person, if a person can go like a day or 2 days without texting or calling you,
Ah.
then that's usually something that's just kind of like, nah, I'm not cool with that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. There could be something going on. It kind of makes you go, hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what's another one? What's another red flag that we might see?
Another red flag is controlling behavior. You know, men are usually jealous or can be very jealous. Men are usually controlling. And I know for a lot of my female friends that I've talked to just over the years, it's one of the things that they kind of hate about some men. Some women may be okay with it, but a lot of women are not okay with being controlled, or dealing with a guy that's jealous or has a controlling behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So, say, for example, you meet a guy, you guys talk for a couple of months, and all of a sudden he doesn't like what you wear, or he doesn't like your friends, or he doesn't like the way you do certain things, and he wants you to change that.
Right.
And you're kind of like, well, those are my friends. I like wearing this and such. And then it turns into an argument, or it turns into a shouting match, or there's some discontent between you two. It's a red flag.
Right. So, what do you think a person should do? Because I can totally see that, because you might have met this person out. And when you met that person out, you had on, this short skirt, or maybe you had this bodycon dress and it was fitting just right. You know what I mean? And, or you're showing a little bit of, cleavage or whatnot. And because that's just what you do, right? You're feeling yourself, right? And when they met you, they stepped to you and you had all that on. But then you go down the line here with them, and a few weeks in, it's like they start to kind of tell you what you can and can't wear. And I don't like when you wear this or that. So, Terrell, what should the person do? What should what should she
What
do?
I always
Or he?
suggest, and this goes for men and women, and I
Right.
know for men it may be a little different, because we don't like to wait. We like to fast track everything. But what I usually tell my female friends that I talk to, and a lot of women that I talk to on my Red Cup conversation is, you know, date. Let me repeat that.
Mm-hmm.
Date this person. You
Right.
know, for 3 to 6 months before you try, or before you decide to make this person your boyfriend, or try to get into a relationship with them. Usually what happens with us is we'll date for about a month, have a good time. They're doing everything that they're supposed to do. They're making you feel real good. And the reason why that is because they're giving you their representative. Everybody always brings their representative first.
Right, right.
And if you date a person 2 months, 3 months in, then if that's not who they are, they're not going to be able to keep that persona for that long.
Yeah.
So if you date a person 2 months into 3 months, and if they're able to continue to do the things that they were doing the first month and 2 and 3 months, then you know that person may be somebody that's good for you because they're going to show you who they are by that time.
You
You
think
know,
so, huh?
within 90 days, a person is going to show you who they really are.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay. All right.
so we got to get past the month. I was once in a relationship where I dated a person for a month, thought they were just everything that I wanted them to be. After that month, we became, we got into a relationship. After that month, I started to see red flags that I really didn't like. But the simple fact that we was already in a relationship, I didn't want to just go to that person and say, you know what, I think maybe we should break up because there's things about you that I really don't care too much for.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so hard. I'd like to speak on behalf of women too. I think, once we've invested, what, 2, 3 months of time, um, sometimes women find it very difficult to turn that clock back and be like, hold up, this is not right. Like, I think I need to move on. And we just kind of feel like we kind of need to try to stick it out and hang in there, but because, society is rushing us. We feel like our biological clock is ticking.
Correct.
We're 35, 40 years old and people are saying, why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have a man? So we have these subtle, like, uh, things that are telling us we need to do this. And so we kind of try to stick it out, knowing all the time that there's a red flag going blinking like, doo, 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 get out.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And I want to also mention too, Terrell, like, you'd mentioned men being jealous, but there are a lot of females that are jealous too, right? I know you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Females can be jealous and they can be controlling. And so, what do you say to men when they run into a female that is um, kind of controlling and domineering and wants to kind of tell you what to do or kind of run you, so to speak?
Well, it's the same thing that I tell women.
Yeah.
It's just like if that's something that you don't like, or if it's something that you're not used to, or if that's something that you don't care too much for, then you can't allow it.
Right.
And male males get in that same kind of boat the same way. When you have a woman that's jealous or insecure or combative and such, we can kind of get stuck into that web and also just stay there with them too and deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also have narcissism,
Right.
and that can be another aspect, both on the male and the female side as far as red flags,
Yeah.
and if what I preach pretty much it's broad. It goes for the females and the male. I know my audience is predominantly female,
Yeah. We
but I
talked about
do
that.
have some male um, um, people that come on my live, and they do tell their side, or they give their stories, because we deal with a lot of what women deal with. It's just that we might not talk about it freely and openly as women may talk about it.
Right. Right. And so, I know you talked about the fact on the last episode how you have a lot of women, but you do have some men that are on your lives as well, and that you coach and talk to. So, what do you say to them? The correct way is to get out of it. Like, we know that we ought to get out of it, but then how do you? What's your suggestion on steps to do that? How do they get out of it? What
I
type of
would,
conversation do
I
they
would,
have? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What type of
I would
conversation?
say,
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna
I
say.
would,
Oh,
I would. Okay, go
go
ahead.
ahead, Tara. I'm not gonna say one word. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I would suggest that as soon as you see one or two red flags that really just don't sit too well with you, just get out immediately. Don't even allow for it to go any further because this is who that person is.
Okay. So not
Don't
ghosting, but not ghosting them,
no,
but what do they say? How do they legitimately get out of this without ghosting?
just tell the person like, you know what, these are the things that I really don't care for that you show me,
Yeah.
and I think it will probably be best if we just go our separate ways.
All right. And of course, there'll be some resistance from that person. They'll probably
Definitely.
try to talk you into, like, well, what do you mean? Well, I really didn't mean it that way. Well, uh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Like, I just feel like maybe you shouldn't wear that skirt. But I mean, if you want to, go ahead. I mean, I'm not just trying to tell you what to do. And then somehow they kind of talk you back into being with them. That can probably happen too.
Yes.
Um, and I would think your suggestion then is if those red flags continue, then what should they do?
That person, the person that they're showing you that they are is who they are.
Yeah.
So the red flags are going to continue. They may, put them aside, or they may um, not try to do it just to kind of reel you back in, but at some point it's going to come back. They're going to start doing those things again, you know. So if you're in a relationship or you're dealing with somebody like that, the best thing to do is just, get out of it because we all have certain deal breakers that we just are not going to accept. It's certain things, and I think we all have them. If a person do these certain things, you're just not going to accept it, you
Right.
know. And like I said, red flags can be something small or it can be something big. If it's something that goes against what you don't like or you don't see yourself being in a long term relationship with, then your best bet is to just get out of it. Don't prolong it. Go ahead and get out because this person is not going to change. Only way the person is going to change is if they want to change,
All right.
and usually that takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to be ready to put up with them trying to change because it does take time.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any other red flags?
Yes, there are. If the person is just too busy for you,
Hmm.
you know, I know a lot of people are career driven. They may be in school or they may just have a hobby that just takes up a lot of their time. You know, that's one of the things. Not being over a past relationship, and I
Okay.
think we talked about that with the ghosting part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you can meet a person and they still can be in love with their ex, or they still can have some type of feeling for their ex,
Yeah.
or they compare you to their ex.
Oh my God.
Being argumentative, always wanting to argue, always being combative, um, always complaining is another thing. Just toxic behavior, just
Yeah.
being very toxic, tearing a person down, always criticizing them, always just making a person feel smaller than what they are.
Yeah. And I mean, you just mentioned earlier about there are always things that we have that are pretty much like deal breakers. And I mean, everything that you're saying to me right now are pretty much deal breakers for me. I know. And I bet some listeners out there are thinking the same way. So I did get a question and I want to ask you their question. So someone says, what happens if they've been in a relationship with someone they've been talking to for a moment, maybe a few weeks, and they've noticed that this person only talks to them at certain times, and when they talk to them, they are never home. So like they're always out when they talk with them, and after a certain time, they don't talk to them at all. So what I mean, they're kind of concerned, it sounds like that's what could that mean, and is that indeed a red flag? I heard you kind of laughing there. Yeah.
It is definitely a red flag.
Ah.
And what that means is, it means that that person is involved with someone.
Mm.
Because if you only talk to this person when they're out, maybe they're at work or they're out, in the streets or out handling business, and then at a certain time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
their phone may get cut off, or you may reach out to them and they don't reach out to you until the next day, or you try to call them and the call goes unanswered. It means that they're involved with someone.
Okay.
Because when you're truly single, you should be able to talk whenever you have time to talk.
Okay.
It shouldn't be after 8 o'clock I can't talk to you because you're at home with your family, or you're at home with your girlfriend or your wife,
Wow.
your spouse. So if a person only talks to you when they're out and about, or you can't talk to them after a certain time, then they're involved with someone.
Okay. Kind of goes back to what you were talking about initially with the red flags. They can't communicate with you on a level that you are interested in being communicated with. So that kind of lines up with that. Yeah, they can only talk to you at certain times, and so that should be definitely a red flag, and that's somebody that you probably want to should you should you actually confront them over this concern, or should you just say, "You know what? Perhaps this is not a good connection here."
It depends. It depends. You should confront them. They're probably gonna lie,
Mhm.
but you can, or if you care that much, confront them. If you really don't care, then why confront them? Just say, what, this ain't working out for me, and move on about your life.
All right. Okay. One more. So is it a red flag when the person you're involved with cannot part with their phone? Like they carry their phone around everywhere they go, uh, to the bathroom. They just cannot seem to let go of their phone. Is that a red flag?
Definitely.
Hmm.
And I guess I know it's a question, but the other part, the part that I would have to ask the person is, are you talking about in a relationship?
Yeah.
Are you talking about dating? You know, because those are two different spectrums.
Yeah. Break it down.
With social media now, everybody does everything on their phone. You know, and some people are like really just addicted to social media.
Right.
So you do have some people that always have their phone in their hand. They can be playing games. They can be on Facebook, Instagram. Now TikTok is kind of taking off right now, and that's like the hottest thing going. Um, they can be, chatting, inboxing, DM, and you do have some people that are just addicted to just social media. So those type of people will have their phone in their hand just all the time. Their phone is just glued to their hand because that's what's important for them on their free time. So, if they go to work, when they get off of work, they come home, when they're hanging out with you, their phone is in their hand. And like one of the things for me when I'm dating somebody that, I might have just met, I always say, like, if we go to dinner, like, our phones are going to be put down. Like, this is time for me and you to interact. If I go out on a date and a person just continuously have to be on their phone, for me, that's a red flag. So that date, after that date, that would just be it. It would
Right.
end there, you
Right.
know, because your phone is more important than anything else. Now, the second part to it is that if you have a person that you're in a relationship with, and this person is taking their phone everywhere, phone is glued to their hand. If you even attempt to try to pick up their phone, they go crazy, or they're trying to snatch it and take it from you, or they just don't want to put their phone down, and that's because they're cheating. That's
Okay.
because they're having interactions with somebody in their phone that they don't want you to know about, so they keep their phone with them at all times.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, you delivered. I mean, you said you were going to come on here and talk about red flags, and I think you've given some really, really good ones. So, Terrell, if indeed someone wants to listen to your Red Cup conversations, or they want to talk with you more, maybe they want to have you as a coach. Maybe there's a female out there that's saying, he sounds like a good coach for me because he's going to keep it real. Um, because I know you do. How can they get in touch with you?
um, One of the best ways to get in touch with me is through Facebook. My name on Facebook, I'm sorry, is Terrell Williams. I know on here, you're saying Horace, but on Facebook it is Terrell Williams, Terrell, last name Willams. Um, you can request me. You can send me an inbox. I also have a YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is Life Coaching with Horace Williams. Um, Horace is Horace. Last name is Williams. Um, so you can contact me through there. I'm, I have an email address that I'm trying to put together. So I don't want to necessarily give that out just yet because I don't have all of the everything together for that. But Facebook is pretty much the best way to kind of get a hold of me, or you can get a hold of me through YouTube.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Terrell. This has been really, really interesting. I know that a lot of people probably have learned a lot, or you've confirmed some things for them.
Yeah.
Ghosting, what it is, and you've talked about red flags. And so, it's just very important that we pay attention and know what those red flags might be. Thanks again, Terrell. And I hope that you, as listeners, have enjoyed listening to this episode of the Lovers Lounge podcast, where we talk to experts and other guests on topics related to love, relationships, and sex. I am your host, Tina Love. And until next time, peace. And of course, don't forget, love.